Hey, this is C.H.E.K. Welcome back to my video blog. I'm in Toronto with my buddy Nichol. He is the man behind BioSteel. He trains more professional athletes than anybody in Canada and a lot of superstars that I've met through him and helped him with a couple of times. And we are going to work out together, and as we go through the day, Matt will share some experiences with him, but he's been with me since 1998. He's in the first group of my students from Canada, and he's been using my Chek concepts along with many other great people's concepts for a long time, and it's produced great results. So I'm excited to share a little time with Nichol today. We'll be back soon. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to share the 4x4 medicine ball exercise, which is an exercise I created a long time ago, and I might have learned pieces of it from somewhere, but it's been too long. I've been teaching medicine ball since, the beginning of my time. So Matt and I will show you this great little exercise. It's great for improving coordination, visual acuity, strength, because it's explosive, endurance. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 rounds of oblique toss, push pass, oblique toss. That's 1 round. So this is what it looks like in practice, and this is the kind of stuff Matt does with a lot of his athletes too, this ass kicker but realistic workout. Your heart rate going, have a little sweat, the 4x4 will do it. See you with something soon. So Matt, we were just at the gym, and I know from the early days that, you were there in the era. I mean, I started introducing the Swiss ball to the resistance training community in '88. So by the time you'd gotten to me, I had refined it, I'd built some videos, and you were one of the original strength coaches that worked with professional athletes at a high level that embraced the Swiss ball, tested it a lot with your own training. So I'm just curious if you could share a little bit about how the Swiss ball plays into your overall programming or use with your athletes, so that they can get the benefits of the Swiss ball, but also get the benefits of everything else you want to coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was turned on to your teaching, your system of exercise in 1996, when I was still an athlete, and I had suffered numerous injuries, and it was actually Paul Gagne who was the first guy to introduce me to you and your teaching, and when I started using the Swiss ball, obviously it seemed completely ridiculous to me at the time. I was a power lifter and a football player, and it only mattered how much weight I could slap on the bar or how big my biceps were. And it opened up a brand new world to me in terms of exercise. It showed me a whole lot of limitations that I had in my own body, and it became an invaluable tool for me as an athlete. So when I started training other athletes, it obviously was a huge part of what we did. And and as you refined your system of using it, your teaching, so I refined the way that I use it and apply it with my athletes. And it's something that I think it's funny in my business or this industry, it's this pendulum that swings one way or the other. You're either all about one thing or you're not about that at all. You either, everybody, should squat and squat as heavy as you can, or you should never ever do squats, they're bad, Swiss balls are fantastic, or you should never use one. We use Swiss balls every single day in our training. And we also use barbells and dumbbells and medicine balls and a million other things. So it's a highly valuable tool. It's an indispensable tool with me and my athletes. There's so many things that we can do with it. And one thing, it's funny, we were discussing this before, you and I, about I've had criticisms of people, tell me, well, we've heard of this guy, Paul Chek, and he's got people jumping on Swiss balls and squatting on Swiss balls, and that's crazy. But all that stuff is taken sometimes out of context, and I know, because I know you and I've known you for a long time, and I've seen the athletes that you work with. You work with some extreme sport athletes.
Yes, lots of them.
Skateboarders, surfers,
motocross
all this kind of stuff. So,
skateboarders, motocross racers, stunt motocross racers. I mean, stunt athletes. Like one of my guys done a bunch of the stunts in one of the recent James Bond movies. Robbie Madison.
Wow.
He's broke all Evel Knievel's records. So a lot of the guys I work with are extreme athletes.
So
many of them are Guinness Book of World Record holders.
For those guys to stand on a Swiss ball,
it's nothing.
It's probably a very tame exercise for someone like that. So if I'm working with football players or basketball players or hockey players or powerlifters, there's probably not a need to do that.
No.
And the risk might outweigh the reward. For the athletes that you're working with, that's a pretty controlled exercise.
It is,
I think the problem lies in a lot of times people are looking at a snapshot of one moment in time, one thing you did with one athlete. But they've never taken the time to actually take the courses, take the certification, read the books, and understand why did you do that exercise with that specific person on that specific day for that specific set and rep scheme, whatever. And I think that's the problem.
Well, I think you know very, very well that I teach a schema that says first you restore flexibility and muscle balance. Within that comes the next stage of stability, development. And the Swiss ball is fantastic for flexibility, and it's fantastic for improved stability if you know how to design the rep sets, loads, tempos, and rest periods to produce a load on the postural system or the slow twitch dominant muscle fibers of the postural system. And only when we have flexibility and stability do we go into strength training. And the use of a Swiss ball in strength training varies from things like using a Swiss ball to do a bench press on allows you to have more range of motion for your scapula than a flat bench does, and protects you from overloading the anterior capsule of the shoulder joint. So there's a fairly common gym exercise that you can do with as heavy weights as you can pick up on a Swiss ball, as long as it's a well-designed Swiss ball for weightlifting. But then there's other exercises that wouldn't be beneficial in a strength phase because you can't generate enough tension through the body with that little tiny base of support unless you're from another universe.
And if you were a competitive powerlifter, you probably wouldn't recommend that they would do their bench presses on a Swiss ball. They should do it on the bench where they're going to compete.
If I was working with a competitive powerlifter, I would cycle that in as part of their training, whether it be for range of motion training or improving spinal health. But you have to train a person for the environment they compete in, so there's always with every exercise and every tool, you have to say, when does this lose its viability and come at a cost of gaining something that doesn't enhance performance? It's kind of like bodybuilding. You can make your muscles look really big, but it does not mean it improves your athletic ability. In fact, oftentimes makes it worse. So if you're using bodybuilding techniques with a rugby player or a hockey player, there's a certain tipping point where they look really good in the mirror, but now it's slowing down their reflexes and their motor skills are starting to be broken down. And so they're the best looking guys sitting on a bench.
Absolutely. And it's funny, what you just described there, that schema of first restoring optimal muscle length, optimal posture, optimal, structural balance throughout the body. That's something that I learned from you, and I've been using it for 20 years now with my athletes. And at the time when I first started, that was really cutting edge, because it used to be, you go to the gym and warm up. Maybe it was, give it one of those, and you get on the bench and start benching, and you have to bench 3 times a week, and you have to squat 3 times a week. And you know, the heavier the better, more and more and more. So that really shifted my mindset, and it really became a differentiator with my athletes. So, and that's not to say that we only lay around and stretch and roll around on balls. You know, I right now, you know, at this point in my career, I work primarily with NHL hockey players. I have some NFL and NBA players, but mostly NHL hockey players. And we've got some of the strongest guys in the league. You know, we've got a number of guys that deadlift well over 500 pounds and squat well over 400 pounds. But the reason we're able to do that is because they're moving optimally.
Yes.
So we have, you know, one of our athletes, you know, deadlifted 565. We did maybe 3 deadlifts all summer, 3 deadlift workouts all summer.
That's great.
Which doesn't make sense, but the thing is, I'm not making them stronger. They're already strong.
Yeah.
But their posture is off. Their alignment is off.
You're optimizing their capacity to generate force.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, just to finish for the people watching, my model is restore flexibility, stability. Once flexibility and stability is restored, you enhance strength, and only when you have flexibility, stability, and strength do you really have a likelihood of being able to be effective at power development long enough to get good results and retain them without getting injured. If someone skips flexibility or stability and jumps to strength and then to power, the higher the intensity of the lift, the faster the speed of the lift, or the more force is through the system, the more it magnifies any of the flexibility and stability imbalances, and you just quickly get to the point with heavy weights where the tissues can't hold it, the cartilage can't hold it, so rotator cuff tears come, discs blow out, facet joints get traumatized, tendons get stretched, or muscles get torn. But those are the things that that guys like you and I get paid to make sure don't happen unnecessarily, right?